Hey, I'm Glenn Paradise. I am the founder of Dēp Slēpwear. And I started this brand because I couldn't sleep. And when I realized that there was nothing out there in terms of sleepwear that would help me sleep, I invented the Deep Sleep hoodie. And shortly after that, I discovered that it seems like half the population of the globe is not sleeping well. And my guest today is going to back that up for us. But with that knowledge, I'm like, geez, maybe there is an opportunity to help a lot of people here. One of the people I met along the way is Barry Bridges. He is a sleep recovery specialist in South Africa. And he introduced me to our guest today, Dr. Richard Mack. Rich, I appreciate the time today. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the masses here.
Hey, Glenn. So my name is Dr. Richard Mack. I'm a physical therapist for the past 14 years now. And I've been working with just primarily like outpatient injuries and stuff like that. But then I made a main focus with combat athletes and sports for the past couple of years. Then I launched my business, the MMA Doc, online during 2020, during the whole pandemic and everything. And really this whole mission of the business is really to help combat athletes really take a science-based approach towards their injury management, their strength and conditioning, their eating, recovery, and weight cuts. So in relation to this interview, yes, I do emphasize sleep with a lot of my athletes as a key part of their performance and their recovery, and how they can best prepare for their big competitions.
Yeah, great. When I look at the combat sports athletes, there's a couple of things that I think about, but one of them is training and how intense it absolutely has to be, because you can get into trouble in the ring or the octagon, wherever you are. And all too often, it's when you see these videos on Instagram. I know Instagram is infamous for the training videos they put out there. You very rarely see much about recovery. So I wonder, sleep in particular is the ultimate recovery tool, but I wonder what you found from your athletes and clients in terms of attitudes towards sleep. How do they feel about sleep? What is their overall attitude?
It can be mixed. Generally, the athletes that will hop on a call with me and want to enroll with me and work with me, they follow my content and they understand, like, I really deal with the fundamentals of recovery. So basically that is sleep is definitely a key part of it, hydration, eating, and just managing your training load, right? So combat athletes are a unique group because they generally train at night. They don't sleep as well. They just wake up early in the morning to do their job, because no one really does it as a full-time gig, right? It doesn't really pay well. So they generally have to work another job, and then train at night. So generally their recovery suffers. And, some are not quite cognizant or aware of the importance of sleep, but then there's others that understand, like, hey, this is a really detrimental part of my recovery process that I'm not sleeping well. So I do need to work with a professional to help dial that in.
Yeah, you look at social media and traditional media out there, and there seems to be more and more content about sleep. I don't know if that's just something I'm noticing because I'm new to the sleep industry. Is that something that you notice as well?
I think as they kind of get a little more deeper into the science of things, they start understanding the importance of sleep. I think a lot of combat athletes generally like to rely on a lot of the gimmicky stuff, let's say an ice bath or a massage gun or some type of cream or oil to help them recover. And then once they start seeing more professionals, let's say such as Barry or myself, pushing out that message that the real big rocks for your recovery is sleep, eating, hydration, and controlling your training loads, that message kind of grows more and more, and more athletes are looking to improve their sleep.
Yeah, I think I agree that the research that has been coming in just over the past few years has really brought to light the importance of sleep, and just as importantly, the dangers of lack of sleep. So it's good that it's getting out there, and we're starting to understand, because sleep has had a bad PR problem forever.
Mhm.
I'll sleep when I'm dead, or sleep is for the weak. We are starting to understand, especially with the advent of sleep trackers. We're starting to respect sleep more. And now that you can put a score to it, it seems like sleep is now a competitive sport,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, they do like to gamify it. There is a big culture issue with like team no sleep, grind all day. A lot of combat athletes like to focus on working hard, but they don't really focus on recovering well. And the main issue with that is that when you train hard and you don't recover well, all that hard work you kind of put in goes out the window, because all the recovery and while you're sleeping is when you start making the gains. If you don't sleep well, then all that hard work is kind of like a lot of squeeze for a little juice. But generally, when you improve your sleep and your recovery, all that hard work you put in, you start seeing more efficient gains for it. And that's generally what a lot of my athletes kind of notice once we start dialing in their recovery.
Wow, that's great. And would you say, is it accurate to say you prescribe sleep? That's a funny word to use as saying that to a doctor, but could it be
Yeah.
considered?
Yeah, I generally will prescribe sleep. I will troubleshoot what is going on with them. If they are struggling with a certain area of their training and I see their sleep, I will say, you know what, like, you can work as hard as you want in this area, but if you're not sleeping well, you're going to really limit your potential with this. And generally, when they finally understand it and they start improving their sleep, then all of a sudden they start noticing more improvements in the other training areas. So it's not necessarily about grinding harder, it's about working smarter. And generally, when you dial in your recovery, you will notice how it carries over to the other aspects of your training.
Yeah, and your overall health.
Yep.
I mean, these are mindset changes that you can literally feel both mentally and physically.
Yep.
But it takes that. There is a leap that they have to make, just because of the bad rep that sleep has had for so long. And I mean, like I said in the beginning, I invented this because I kind of felt I knew what I needed to sleep better. And when I started to sleep better is when I finally appreciated sleep for what it is. So it did take that leap, and it's going to for a lot of people, but we're all heading in the right direction. I think sleep trackers have a lot to do with that. And as you know, this sleep hoodie was working for me in a very rude and crude form in the very beginning. So I knew I was onto something. And as it evolves, it's great getting feedback from guys like you and athletes like the ones that you train. So what's really important to me is that it works for others. So before we got to this step of talking now, it was important to me that you try the sleep hoodie and to make sure that it works, because all I want to do is help people recover. And people that sleep well are generally healthier and happier, and that makes for just a better world. So I sent you the hoodie, and you had some experience with it. Why don't you tell us what your experience was? And I want just be honest: the good, the bad, the ugly.
Okay, so Glenn, yeah, you were nice enough to rush ship a shirt for me before I flew out to Italy with my wife, and I wore it during my trip. And generally, I don't enjoy hotel bed as much as it's a different environment. I always like my own bed, and wearing that was definitely made it a lot more comfortable. I didn't really feel hot while I was sleeping. I appreciated the eye mask; it was just comfortable. I didn't get hot with that. It blocked out light, because sometimes you're not guaranteed to really kind of get the full darkness. So I was able to sleep for like a set amount of hours, and I woke up and I was feeling really good. So that really helped a lot because, like I said, every time I go on vacation, I'm like, my recovery just kind of like goes down to the wayside because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be in a different hotel room. So having that and, really kind of feeling really good during my trip, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then once I came home, I bought a couple more shirts and I was just wearing them. And it's been good because I don't get hot when I'm sleeping now. And it's just been comfortable. And so I always recommend it to my athletes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm happy to hear that it worked for you. I'm certainly happy to hear that you're recommending it to your athletes. And that hotel thing is the first night effect is a very real thing, and that can go on for days. The first night effect can be the second night effect and the third night effect, and that can really affect your. You were on vacation. That was to be pure pleasure. So if you really want to get away from everything, you want to make sure that your sleep is optimized on your vacation too. Um, I don't think you used it on the plane, but I would invite you to do that. You happen to stay awake on this trip, but if there's ever a trip that you want to catch a few winks, even if it's just a nap, I would look forward to your feedback on that, because that is a big one for a lot of people. Traveling can just knock you right out, especially if you're going across time zones.
Mm-hmm.
So I would certainly invite you to do that. I would also invite you to. Do you track your sleep? Do you wear a tracker at all, or?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I have a Fitbit. Some athletes like wear a Whoop, but I'll wear a Fitbit because I just like the battery life. Like I'm just too lazy to charge it every 2-3 days. So
Right.
one lasts for 7 days. I just see my sleep, and it's been good.
Yeah, I would also invite you to share some of your sleep scores. What I've done in the past is slept without the hoodie for a week, tracked my scores, slept with the hoodie for a week and tracked my scores and tried to compare back and forth. Generally, the nights that I am wearing the hoodie are of higher quality sleep.
Mhm.
And there is one athlete who said she experiences about 30 minutes of extra deep sleep per night. And as you know, the deep sleep is really the part that most athletes are most interested in, because it is the phase of sleep that helps with recovery and muscle repair and muscle building, along with memory building and a lot of other cool things. But that's why athletes and teams are really kind of locking into this as a solution. It's not something that you have to ingest. It's not a supplement. It's simple, that you can use anywhere. So I look forward to more feedback from you and your athletes. And why don't we go ahead and give the audience here your contact information so they can learn about you. And I know you put a lot of good content out there on your site and or sites, and you've got a discount code that I'd be happy to pass along to folks as well.
Okay, so you can reach me on my website at www.getbackonthemat.com. That is my website, but more likely you can reach out to me on Instagram at the MMA Doc. So I'm generally more responsive on there, and I'm very active on that social media for content and everything. My discount code is Dēp Slēpwear MMA Doc. So I was, Glenn will post that in one of the posts, so it'll be easier to spell and use it right away for 15% off.
Yeah, great. That's right. It's Dēp Sleep, DEP MMA Doc. Yeah, I will definitely post with that. And we've already gotten, as soon as I gave you that code, one of your athletes purchased pretty much right away.
Yep.
So that was great. We may be onto something here as a team to help your athletes recover, and hopefully folks who are watching this, we can help them recover, whether it's for athletic endeavors or otherwise.
Yep.
We're just out there to help people sleep better. Okay. Well, Dr. Richard Mack, I really appreciate the time today. Happy that we got to talk about your experience with Dēp Slēpwear. I'm thrilled to learn that it's working for you, and that you're recommending it to your athletes. I look forward to further feedback. and maybe we'll do this again. Thanks again for your time.
Oh, awesome, man. Yeah, definitely looking forward to having more of my athletes just wear your stuff and really experience the difference.
Outstanding. All right. Have a good rest of the day.
All right, cool.